Hey guys, I want to talk a little bit about risk because in a market like this where the sentiment is kind of anti-housing, it's a risk to get in and buy your own house, but a risk well worth taking. Yesterday, I was talking to someone who wants to buy a home. We took the application a couple of days ago and we were talking about it and said, there's a clear path to being approved for your home. What we have to do is raise your credit score a little bit. And to do that, you just have to pay off a couple of these debts and a couple of credit cards. That was all. And that's the good news. So now we just have to put it in action and get there. His response was, whoa, yeah, I guess I won't be buying a house. So I was like, well, wait, you wanted to buy a house and there's a clear path to get you approved. We can do that. What's the holdup? He said, well, I have this money in the bank. I'm not willing to let that go. And I was like, well, wait, you owe the money anyway. You've already got balances on credit cards. You got to pay it off someday. And you want to buy a house, why not do it now? And he just said, it's too much risk. Some people are okay with some calculated risk. Other people are definitely not. But I love this quote by Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn's the guy that attributed, at least with training Tony Robbins. And he did to a certain extent, I think. And he says, if you're not willing to risk the usual, you'll have to settle for the ordinary. The usual meaning, in this guy's case, I have credit card debt and I'm okay with that. I have some money in the bank to pay it, but I'm not willing to. Then you'll have to settle for the ordinary. And the ordinary is just keep on going. Renting, and there's nothing wrong with renting. Don't get me wrong. But at some point, if you want to buy a home, that's where you have your own place, you create security, you build wealth. And here's what that looks like. Okay, so I want to go over this. Here is a buy versus rent comparison. So you're buying a $300,000 home, and yes, they still exist. You can still buy that. And you're comparing it to renting. So first of all, let's go down here. So rent, in this case, I put $1,815 a month, including your renter's insurance that you have to have and all that. I don't know that you can rent a place for $1,815, but I don't know that you can't either. So that's what came up as the average for Charleston. So we're going to use that. So you got $1,800 a month in rent. And if you buy the $300,000 home, something comparable to what you would rent, it would be more. Once you add taxes, insurance, and some money for repairs every month that you put aside, you're about $2,100. So it's $1,800 for rent, $2,100 to buy. You're like, well, that's where most people stop. And they're like, oh, it's cheaper to rent. Right. Except you don't control an asset like a house. And if you buy, first of all, you can paint it any color you want. You can remodel however you want. You can put up a fence without asking the landlord. You can do all these things. It's yours. But also, you're building wealth. Here's what that looks like. So if you own for 10 years or rent for 10 years, your appreciation on owning is $130,000. Cash flow difference goes in your favor over time. I'll show you why. The amortization rather, you're paying down the mortgage over that 10 years by about $37,000, just over 10%, well, almost a little more than that. But if you rent, you don't have closing costs. You have a security deposit, but you get that back if everything goes well. So that's a wash. So we're not counting anything there. But you do have closing costs to get into a home if you buy. And if you sell in 10 years, well, you have costs to sell too, because you have to pay the realtors and their fees. And your cash flow difference is, and I put 6.25, that's FHA rates right now. Here's the difference. On buying, you start out paying about $2,100 a month. And you keep on paying about $2,100 a month in year 5. Now, maybe taxes and insurance go up a little bit. I've put them up a little, not a lot. But what's definitely going up is your rent. Because I don't know anyone who pays the same rent for 10 years. If you do, that's awesome. But most people don't. It goes up every year. So you're paying about almost $2,300 by the end of year 5. So it starts off being cheaper to rent. By the end of year 5, it's cheaper to have purchased 5 years earlier. And by year 9, I said 10 years. I think I did 9 years actually. By year 9, you're paying almost $2,900 and you're paying, I don't know why that went down. Oh, because your PMI went away. So we assumed PMI went away in year 9. So anyway, here's what it looks like. And your total, where's the total? Net gain over 9 years, not 10, by buying as opposed to renting, even though it was cheaper in the first year to rent than buy. The net gain by buying is $160,000. So your net worth just went up $160,000. What's that mean? Well, again, going back to that quote about risk, you're taking some risk because no one knows how much home prices are going to go up. No one knows if rents are going to drop. I don't think they will, but you don't know for sure. There's some risk involved in every decision that you make. That's my point. And you have to be okay with a little bit of risk to get ahead in life, for anything in life. So I like the quote, if you're not willing to risk the usual, you'll have to settle for the ordinary. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be extraordinary. It's like anything. You take a risk asking someone to marry you. But man, does that work out when it works out well. And it's worth it. You take a risk when you decide to have children. Man, does that work out well. And it's worth it. You take a risk in so many things in life, right? And that's okay. You sign up for a 10K. You haven't done a 10K before. So you know you're going to have to change some things, change your diet a little bit, change your exercise, obviously, and start practicing. And then you complete the 10K. And what do you feel like after that? You feel like that risk was highly worth it and your life has changed for the better. So I'd like you to see you keep accomplishing things, including buying your own home. So if I can help you kind of explore that today, let's take a look at it. I did it yesterday with someone else, spent 2 minutes, kind of didn't take a loan application, just said, roughly, here's your income, debts, etc. I can do a report for you and show you what you might qualify for. Again, it's not a pre-approval. You can't go out and shop for a home with it, but it gives you a pretty good idea on where to start. And we can do that today. So if you want to explore just what would it look like to buy a home? Well, let's start. Have an awesome day, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye.